Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And today, this evening, shall I say, we bring you the evening headlines. And they read as such: Daniel Levy is personally driving a deal for Jed Spence. Contact made with Leeds over Raphinha. Spurs hold interest in Sasa Kalajdzic. A potential long-lay deal and a roundup of all today's transfer rumours, potential incomings and outgoings, and the latest club news. But before we get into it, if you are liking these news updates and you want to see more of them, make sure you smash that like button. But look, Jack, I think we'll get straight into it, my man.
Let's get straight into it. And the first thing we are going to be discussing, everybody, is Jed Spence. And Jed Spence, everybody, Tottenham are open to fresh talks with Middlesbrough over Jed Spence, as Daniel Levy is apparently, according to Sky Sports, personally driving the negotiations himself for the right wing back. Sky Sports journalist Lyle Thomas said via Twitter that Tottenham are set for further talks over signing Jed Spence. Daniel Levy personally driving this deal, as Fabio Paratici, apparently, Dave, is concentrating on other targets. Initial talks did not find agreement with Spence, but the Spurs are going to now start fresh talks over the player, and now being sort of kind of driven by Daniel Levy himself. Dave, I mean, kind of a bit of an explanation for maybe why it's taken so long.
Look, what I will say, if this was Paratici in charge of the deal, it would be done by now. But look, I do believe that he has actually a personal relationship in Jed Spence camp, and that's why he's taking charge of the negotiations. I'm not sure how true that is, but apparently that's what the rumor is. Now, this is clearly, for me, a player that we see as one for the future, something more long-term that we can develop and potentially be here for maybe around 10 years, Jack, if developed in the right way. Daniel Levy is driving this deal for the club, so that Paratici can actually work on targets for the here and now under Conte. And for me, I actually think it is a smart move, in my opinion, rather than getting Paratici bogged down with this deal, even though I probably would have it wrapped up by now. Leave him concentrate on the bigger deals that need to be done. Now, this is one, actually, Jack, that, in my opinion, we actually don't need to rush, especially if Daniel Levy does have someone inside Jed Spence camp that he has a personal relationship. We can actually take our time and negotiate to get the best price as possible for Tottenham Hotspur, because as we know, Spence's preferred destination is also Tottenham. Now, he was on under 21 international or under 21 duty for England, and he's now on holidays. I'm also aware, though, that some fans do not want this guy if he is a Daniel Levy signing. I've seen this today around on social media, but I do urge all Spurs fans out there that if this lad does actually come to Tottenham, first of all, remember that he is a young lad. Let's not take all of our Daniel Levy frustrations out on this kid and actually give him a chance. It's not his fault. In my opinion, Jack, I actually do think maybe it is a bit of bad PR to even let this get out there into the public domain, knowing
for being there so long, like for so many months, you mean? Yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, but just in general, that Daniel Levy is in charge of in negotiations purely because, you know, you're not really giving the kid a fair chance, because he'll always be labelled as a Daniel Levy signing. So he'll never, ever get a fair chance off the Spurs fan base. But you know, I kind of feel like maybe with that now, we probably are actually setting the kid up to fail, because there'll be so much scrutiny specifically on him, the fact that Daniel Levy is taking care of these negotiations. But look, I do expect this one to maybe rumble on for another week or two at least.
Yeah, I don't know, Dave. It's sort of one of those Daniel Levy signings from the beginning for me. I feel like the moment that I saw that we were even linked with him in the first place, I think I sort of said on this channel, I can probably be clipped for it, is kind of thinking this sounds and really looks like a Daniel Levy signing, because it's not really someone that you would think that Paratici would identify. Not that, you know, he's, you know, I just feel like, Dave, you know, the English pyramid, you know, really isn't his expertise. You know, he doesn't really, you know, go around, you know, scouting championship players. So if any sort of person were to be pushing for this sort of deal, just seems like it's kind of a Daniel Levy sort of person to push for this kind of deal. Also, because we know, Dave, with Paratici, what I wrote down, he seems to, as we know, throw a lot of smoke screens. You know, he likes to make things, you know, kind of under the radar. He likes to, you know, throw kind of decoys and whatnot with the media. this whole Jed Spence thing, Dave, it's been like on the radar for Spurs and for Spurs fans for so long that kind of maybe screams of the old days, I must be honest, with Spurs, where like we felt like we always knew who we were going after. It was just the whole story had to do with haggling over the deal, haggling over the price. And now that we've kind of come to terms with the fact that it is sort of Daniel Levy, negotiating this Jed Spence deal, kind of explains a lot. It kind of explains why maybe some people are even frustrated with Jed Spence as being seen as kind of the right wing back option because, if it were Paratici maybe going for it, maybe he would be pushing for, the much more maybe quality options, or at least options that people see on a regular basis other than Jed Spence. Even though, Dave, I did write down that Jed Spence, I must say, though, I think the reason we are maybe going after the kid, not only because he's young and English, but he has similar attributes to the likes of that Wilfred Singo guy who has all that pace. He has a lot of power, a lot of speed, and he has really good dribbling ability, Wilfred Singo. When you think about it, those are all the attributes that Jed Spence kind of has, which makes me think that maybe at least, even though it's Daniel Levy pushing for it, perhaps we're going for like a similar profile of at least, the player, that we're going for somebody that's able to take it past their man, somebody that's able to be good on the one-on-one situations, whether it be our first, second, third choice. He's not really in any of those markets for me for Jed Spence. Like he really isn't even in my top 5 choices, but I kind of see why we're going after him just because he matches a certain profile of the right wing backs that we're going for. The one thing, though, Dave, I must be said, though, is that I am a bit disappointed if this would be the one player that we do sign in that position, because as we said before, the right wing back spot was sort of a position that like a lot of teams targeted us for. It was kind of, the position that people most teams realized that, wait a minute, like Spurs don't actually pose much of a threat from the right wing back spot. There's not going to be good delivery out there. They don't really know how to take it past their man in those wide areas. So teams would just kind of clog up the middle, knowing that the right wing back spot wasn't going to offer much of a threat. Is Jed Spence going to immediately be that guy that's going to offer a huge threat out there? I don't know yet. I can't make a definitive claim. So that's why I'm still a bit concerned to this day, maybe thinking that we should go for maybe a more high profile option in that right wing back spot, knowing that it is a position that we need real quality upgrade in a way. But I must be said, Dave, like we've said this thousands of times, not every signing is going to be Paratici or Conte signing. There might be a Daniel Levy signing in there, and perhaps Jed Spence is that one.
No, I wouldn't even label it as a Daniel Levy signing, Jack. Look, for me, I've always said this, that there's always going to be having one eye on the future. It's the way every club operates. They all hope to unearth that next star, that next talent, and even if the ones that they don't have in their academy, they try to buy you and get them in and develop them. A bit like what we've done with Kyle Walker, and then we end up selling them on to Man City, except for at the stage now where we won't be selling them on to anybody because we're a big club now and we can keep them. Look, as long as 90%, I've said this, you're coming into the window, as long as 90% of the signings are contest signings and for the here and now, I'm happy with it. With Jed Spence, I firmly believe that he is one for the future, and I wouldn't say a right wing back, someone else coming in the door potentially as well. I wouldn't write that off yet either.
Yeah, you're probably hard one to kind of write off. But I mean, Harris Army, let us know maybe what you think of kind of the Jed Spence deal. I must say, like, I do see this one happening nonetheless. The whole reason that this is being kind of, drawn out and taking so long, maybe it just has to do with a certain man, taking part in the negotiations and him wanting getting the best deal possible, which at the end of the day, it's kind of understandable, Dave, considering he isn't exactly Spurs' number one choice for right wing back. So maybe out of all the players to overpay for, I did also write down, Dave, I don't know if Jed Spence is the one to overpay for, I would say. So it maybe at the end of the day, good thing maybe that we're, not overpaying for the guy, or at least we're haggling a bit. But might as well maybe move on to Raphinha, Dave. There is some big news regarding Raphinha, and an update on the Raphinha news we brought to you yesterday. But now the Spanish publication Sport have revealed that all of Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United have now shown interest or even made offers in the past for Raphinha. Gary Jacobs has said that Tottenham have already made contact with Leeds for Raphinha, with the player keen to play Champions League football next season, adding strength to the approach already made by Spurs. 55 million euros was the original asking price from Leeds, which is why Barcelona, who technically, Dave, had already agreed personal terms with Raphinha before, but the big haggling thing was that Leeds did want 55 million euros from Barcelona right away. The fact that Barcelona haven't been able to pay that has basically almost allowed other clubs, to start circling, around this Raphinha situation. And now I think the price for the player is around 65 to 75 million euros. That's kind of now the price that Leeds would accept. There's a big race in for Raphinha, Dave, which isn't a big surprise. He's kind of, been a real sensation since coming to the Premier League. And it looks like there's, a lot of clubs going in for him. Dave, you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, the missus was taking something out the oven there, so I put myself on mute. My bad. But look, I'm not so surprised that there is so much interest in this guy, Jack. Since he's joined Leeds United, he has looked head and shoulders above any player that they currently have, and was a major reason why Leeds did not get relegated, scoring 11 goals, like I said yesterday. Now, his move to Barcelona is actually being held up by their failure to negotiate a deal with United for Frankie de Jong. They need a deal to be struck so that they can have the funds to make an official bid for Raphinha. So the longer that United actually take on this deal with de Jong, the better it is for us, as it opens up a window for us to be able to swoop in and get the deal done. Now, there is serious interest from Arsenal. They have been in contact since March. Thierry Henry, TT, as them Arsenal gooner idiots like to call him, he was his actual idol, and he did state before in an interview that he would like to play for Arsenal one day. But Basuma and Doherty are Arsenal fans, and they still came here. Now, we could definitely benefit from what he offers, Jack. He adds unpredictability. He is tricky. He has skills. He's technically excellent. He's not afraid to take on his man as well. And he can cross a delightful ball as well, but can also cut inside and bend one into the top corner. And actually, he adds one thing we don't have in this current squad, bar maybe Sonny, but which is a goal outside of the box. Now, with Ajax actually agreeing a deal with Dortmund to sell Sebastian Haller, and United going out to Amsterdam next week to try and negotiate a deal for Anthony, it means now that they can afford the asking price. Tottenham have slapped on Bergwijn, who is their number one target this season. Negotiations have been going on with the two clubs, and it's only a matter of time before the deal is done, which we will get around 25 million euros for. So all we need to do is add the 25 million, which is absolutely nothing with how flush we are. So I think that's why Tottenham's interest maybe is ramped up over the last 24 hours. Now, he would be a serious upgrade on Bergwijn if we are looking to replace him, and would also be a brilliant piece of business, Jack. And for me, would actually signal that we are seriously going for a challenge this year. And he would provide real competition for places.
Yeah.
He has more output than Lucas Moura. This would be a real statement of intent if we could get Raphinha over the line, plus a striker.
For me, Dave, I feel like at least me, I've said this 1,000 times, I don't see him going to Barcelona. Like, it just seems like a player at the end of the day that they can't pay 55 million euros for. I know Barcelona, Dave, they make absurd decisions that don't make sense. They have wasted the money in the past, but it would seem crazy for them to have to spend 55 million euros on a player that I feel like they don't really exactly need. If you ask me, it's not really one of their immediate needs, at least, in that team. And they already signed Ferran Torres for like 50 million. They have Ansu Fati. They have so many players, available in those winger positions. So I'd be shocked if they really decided to join that race for Raphinha, despite the personal terms being agreed. The Arsenal rumors, Dave, they seem really strong. They seem like there's a lot of weight behind it. Like you said, maybe he's shown some sort of commitment in the past, to the club. I'll be honest, though, what really interests me is like what Raphinha is interested in, right? Does he want to play for a team that's getting Champions League football, that's playing in the highest level, possible? You're getting that with Spurs. Whereas with maybe the Gooners, Dave, I mean, you don't really know what he's being offered. Is he being offered, the position that Nicola Pepe had, which he probably failed and, trying to take, which is that right wing spot? Now that right wing spot is being offered to Bukayo Saka. Is Bukayo Saka going to move over? I would say he's kind of versatile. He probably could move over. That's what I'm kind of interested about Raphinha, is that right wing spot. Some might think it's immediately available, over at Arsenal. I'm not even sure. I feel like it's a similar situation where Raphinha is going to be kind of challenging Kulusevski, for kind of that right wing spot in those two systems. And when you really think about it, Dave, Bukayo Saka, he's kind of seen as the poster boy over there. Kulusevski, I know he's our kind of, ginger from Sweden, but you could see those guys kind of sharing minutes and kind of competing
Yeah.
for minutes. Whereas like if Bukayo Saka doesn't want to move from that right wing spot, I find it hard for maybe Arsenal trying to fit him in. But then again, like it makes sense that they're pushing for him since Nicola Pepe has been such a failure. But be interesting to see if he does go over there. But I would say, Dave, my last little point here, Raphinha, he's been a sensation since coming to the Premier League. I think everybody would be disappointed if he moved to another Premier League club because I think we all sort of fear him. He is absolutely lethal. He's dangerous. He's lightning quick. He presses really hard. He works really hard. He seems to have a good attitude at the end of the day. Leeds fans loved him. So I'd be scared for, honestly, any team that he goes to if it were the Premier League. He is a good player.
Yeah, he's a very good player. A very good player. I just want to say, guys, there's over 200 people in-house watching right now. I'm just going to keep an update on the like situation so we know what we're dealing with here. When we're at 54 likes, it is pretty disappointing. The Harris Army, let's get behind this channel in full force. Everyone smash that like button. It is free. Moondog with the super chat. Big up, Moondog. Really appreciate the support, brother. And he says, good evening, gents. Hope you're doing good. We are absolutely flying, Moondog. Absolutely flying.
Love
I mean,
Moondog.
look, the season is right around the corner. Some players returning preseason next week. I cannot wait for it, my man. Big up, Moondog, and really, really do appreciate the support. And hopefully, Dyer gets a few goals for you this year, so you can earn some of your money back. All the €5 you've been throwing away on him every single game this season. That's 55 games, or no, not even. Sorry, about 40 games. A fiver a piece. I mean, it's not cheap, Moondog. So hopefully we can claw some of that back for you this season. Tyler D says Bergwijn leaving hurts. Will we regret this one? Look, I'll be honest with you. Look, he's one of them players that he may very well move on from Tottenham and go and do something elsewhere. I'm not denying that. The kid does have talent. But at the end of the day, we have done everything possible for this kid. Look, let me break this down. When we signed the guy, we gave him what money he wanted. We have the best training facilities in the world to offer him. And he knew he was coming here playing on the right-hand side. If he thought he was ever coming in here and getting in ahead of Son, because his favorite position is playing on the left, then he was sadly mistaken. He knew that right wing spot was available. And that's what, and that's the position he had to go for. Now, look, people are making out like this guy was never given a chance. Let's not forget under Jose Mourinho, especially maybe not after the January to the end of the season, but especially the season after where it started. The guy played about 20 games in a row down that right-hand side, and he offered absolutely nothing. And we were screaming during the season for someone else to come in here and offer us something. The fact that Gareth Bale ended up coming in here, getting fitness, and coming in ahead of him towards the end of the season when he gained full fitness, and that the only reason why that happened is because Bergwijn never took his opportunities. And then you look at it under Antonio Conte. Now, we can see, look, he started well under Nuno, and Antonio Conte come in, and he hasn't took a liking to this guy. But that's down to him. Alistair Gold has reported that this guy around the training ground has an attitude problem. Well, we know Conte will not accept that. He will not have that. And I don't blame Conte if he wants to move him on. Now, for me, I actually think the goals that he has scored in that short amount of time is more of a fuck you to Conte. Now, why didn't he apply that when he was getting the runs in the team under Jose Mourinho? Why didn't he do that then? We wouldn't be sitting here talking about this today. And the reason why he came off the bench, he had a point to prove to Antonio Conte, but he's also looking to keep his name in the ring for a move, a.k.a. Ajax this summer. Now, look, we know he probably should have gone in January. They were interested, but we didn't have enough squad depth, so we had to keep him around. But he is not a part of the plans. He will be shipped on. And look, he may go to Ajax, he may bag a load of goals and get another move on elsewhere and do very well. But it's what he does in a Tottenham jersey that I actually really care about. And for me, has never fulfilled his potential. And that is on him, not on Tottenham Hotspur.
Dave, he was given the opportunity to take that right wing spot before Kulusevski even came into the club. The right wing spot was up for grabs. The only player he had to compete with was Lucas Moura. And then I guess like a Gareth Bale that was going to take 6 months, to get back into basically condition, for Jose to even play him. Bergwijn had a huge gap of time, to prove Jose Mourinho as well as, the Tottenham fan base that he was the right player for that right wing sort of spot. But Dave, it looked like he didn't really fancy the right wing spot. He didn't feel like that was his best position for him to thrive in. It seems like, you know, the left wing spot is the one that's best destined for him. Too bad the left wing spot is taken by a world-class player in the case of Son Heung-min. So
Yeah.
maybe it's on the fault of Steve Hitchen, perhaps in the scouting department, that, you know, Bergwijn is more of a left winger than he ever was a right winger. Perhaps he was kind of, you know, given, you know, what would you say, Dave, like kind of a losing kind of chance to begin with, because you're asking him to play a position that he doesn't thrive in. But he's a professional footballer, and he's supposed to be a very talented player. If he wants to succeed at Tottenham Hotspur, he would know that that is the position that is up for grabs. So why would he then complain that, you know, Son Heung-min, Dave, again, a world-class player, is being played ahead of him? And when it comes to those sort of terms, Dave, I get a bit frustrated that Bergwijn, when he sees himself as a striker and a left winger, you have those positions already taken up by world-class players. So that means then you are going to be probably sitting on the bench for a huge amount of games. And that's not really, you know, anyone's fault other than his, unless he wants to maybe make more of a case for that right wing spot. But it does seem, Dave, he never really made a case for that right wing spot, or maybe wasn't ever good enough to begin with for that right wing spot. He seems to be a good left winger. He maybe seems to be a decent, you know, second striker, but those are not, you know, the positions that he's going to get, you know, a good, you know, chance in, or, you know, good minutes in.
Look, at the end of the day, he signed for Tottenham knowing he'd been playing on the right-hand side. So don't cry that he's not getting an opportunity. He had his opportunity. He knew he was coming here to play the right-hand side. If you want to get in ahead of Son, work harder than Son, which I guarantee you he's probably not in training. Work harder than him on a football pitch, which he definitely does not do, and be better than him. Look, too many players over the last couple of years, especially under Steve Hitchen, have come to this club and used the club as an excuse on why they have not succeeded. Serge Aurier, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele Alli, even under Steve Hitchen. You know, all make excuses for the club. Bergwijn's another one. Now, I will touch on this later, but Emerson has actually gone off and done his own things. He's asked himself a question. Have I done everything I can? And he's gone off and actually paid to get professional help, which I will touch on later. Some of these players will never, ever go and do that. Look, he came to Tottenham because we were offering good money and he thought he could get in on the right-hand side. It hasn't worked out. No point in trying your toys out the pram. At the end of the day, I'm not really too sad. I'm not really too sad when it comes to Bergwijn. I think, to be honest with you, for me, I'm one of these people. He's had his opportunity. He never took it. End of. I get why a lot of people may be upset, but we always have that fear. People say about Ndombele, Lo Celso, what if they go off here and do that? Ifs, buts, and maybes. They may not. But what I care about is what they do in Tottenham and in a Tottenham jersey. And they have not done it. So tough tits. With a big club, the way big clubs operate, you get one, maybe two chances. After that, if it doesn't work out, you're surplus to requirements. It's up to you to work hard to get back into the team, or you're out the door. And that's the way Tottenham have to operate, and that's what Spurs fans have to get used to. Big up Tyler D. By the way, everyone, make sure you keep getting your comments in the chat, but also feel free to skip the chat. There's a lot of comments coming in right now. Get in a super chat with your thoughts. Whether you agree, disagree, it's okay. We'll do it respectfully. We'll all share our opinions. And guys, just let us know what your thoughts are. Like I said, it skips the chat and we'll get straight to it and have a good conversation. And Moondog says we can't keep looking through rose-tinted glasses. 100%. 100%. I agree. I fully agree with this. At the end of the day, look, we shelled out big money on Bergwijn. You know, we paid him big wages. He came here for the money because we were offering lucrative money. Now, that's like he could look if Tottenham wasn't suited for him and it wasn't his preferred position, then don't sign. Hold out till the summer and go to a club that will play you in your preferred position. Do not sign for Tottenham. At the end of the day, we can't keep looking at it. What if he does this? What if he does that? Every professional footballer, I'm going to say this, even Harry Winks, has some sort of talent. That, you know, they all on their day can produce something. That's why they get paid. But at the end of the day, the difference that makes a really quality player and players that play for top clubs, and the reason why top clubs win anything is because the consistency of the players that they bring in and the consistency they're able to produce that talent. Bergwijn hasn't done it.
It just seems like with Bergwijn, Dave, I would say, to be fair to him, he wants to just play football week in and week out. But in order to do that, he's going to have, not as good a competition, coming up against him. That's his problem, is that he wants to play football week in, week out, but he happens to play for a team that has world-class players competing with him for the position that he wants to play week in, week out for. So he's going to have to take a step down to an Ajax, to a league that's also a step down, in order to be able to play week in, week out like he wants. And to be fair, though, Dave, he's not, a player that's just taking the paycheck at the end of the day. He's now decided, he wants to play a lot of football. And I don't know if I can shame him for that. I would say the way he went about it, calling himself precious, and whatnot and things like that, without really looking at the, the elephant in the room, which is like, you're competing for a position with Son Heung-min. Like, you're not going to get that spot. Like, you're being kind of crazy. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag with, I think, Bergwijn, Dave. You kind of see where he's coming from on certain cases, where it's like, yes, he wants to just play a lot of football, and you always got to respect a player that wants to just play football and be able to just enjoy the beautiful game. But at the same time, he was making complaints about, wanting to be played ahead of a player that's just world class. I just don't really understand that.
No, 100%. I just want to bring something up here. I don't really like doing this ever, but this guy here says, you were talking crap, which is fine. You can have your opinion. Bergwijn works hard. But then it's this comment. Irish Tottenham, the day you stop supporting the club, we will win trophies. Now, this is an example of a person that's making it my problem that we don't win trophies. Even though we pay Bergwijn extortionate wages every single week, the first thing he done with his wages was go and buy himself a big, nice, fancy car. He hasn't produced when he's played physically in a Tottenham jersey for the club. But yeah, it's my fault. Absolute nonsensical. I'm sorry, but I will not have that. But look, I'm not here to do that, so we will keep moving. Paul Markey says, headless chickens run out of ground. Jack, what would you say to Paul Markey?
I don't know. That's maybe being a bit harsh there to Bergwijn in his case. Like I said, Paul, I just feel like he just wants, to play, football. He's probably not really looking at the whole side of things. Like I said, Paul, like, he's not really realizing that, he's not just going to play ahead of somebody like Sonny, who's done it week in, week out for Spurs, for year in, year out for Spurs. Like, it's just not, you just don't give that sort of, opportunity. It's just not how it is. And he's been given the opportunity, like we said before, for the right wing spot. He didn't really take it convincingly, you would say, like maybe Kulusevski has. Kulusevski's taken it convincingly, that right wing spot. And that's just kind of how it is, Paul. And honestly, I wish Bergwijn the best, because I actually do expect he's going to do quite well at Ajax. And I do see him, probably tearing it up over there. At the end of the day, though, it's a step down. And it's probably a step down in order for him to get more football and for him to probably be, a huge, kind of feature in that Netherlands squad, Dave, because maybe that's also a huge part for him. He wants to be maybe a starter in that Dutch team come the World Cup. In order for him to do that, he's going to have to play for Ajax and play week in, week out.
That's fine. That's fine. But still have a good attitude in and around the training ground every day. Do the right things in training. Set the right example. Be a part of the squad. You can still do that and still get your move out of here in the summer. Leave amicably. He did not want to do that. And at the end of the day, what I'd say to people is, how much more money are we supposed to keep shelling out on this position and stockpiling players? Lucas Moura, Bergwijn. We even brought Bale in on loan. Now we've bought Kulusevski. What are we supposed to do? Keep shelling money out on this position and keep stockpiling players just in case they come good. We can't do that. We cannot afford to do it. We're not Man City. We're not Chelsea. We don't have that sort of money. And at the end of the day, if one's got to go, it's got to be him because his attitude is poor. But I agree with Paul Markey. Look, 95% of this guy's games haven't been good. People are saying keep him off the back of him coming on, making a few substitution appearances and banging in the goals. Bar the late one against Leicester, I'm not being funny. Most of the other games were done. You could have put me out there and I could have went and scored a goal. If I'm being quite frankly honest, the other teams were absolutely capitulated. I could have went out there and scored a goal with 7 minutes because they had all given up. So for me, look, I think we'll move on from Bergwijn anyway, but that was a good discussion to have, I think. Everybody keep smashing that like button, not even 100 likes. But look, Jack, we'll keep moving on because this is one I do want to talk about. And I see Ellie in the chat. This is one that I know Ellie is a huge fan of. So, Jack, let's take it away. But I may add, I have my reservations before you start.
Ellie, we're going to be talking about Austria's as well as Stuttgart's Sasa Kalajdzic, which is a great name to say, and is an itch. We do need an itch into this team. Jake Stokes from Football London reports that Chelsea and Tottenham are among many top-flight English clubs in the race for Stuttgart's Kalajdzic. According to German publication Bild, his representatives were in England last week meeting with an unnamed English club. According to Bild, in an interview with a while ago, Kalajdžić revealed that he has a fondness for Liverpool, though, and Jurgen Klopp. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and he is valued around £22.5 million, according to Transfermarkt. Dave, just my quick thoughts on the guy. He is sort of kind of that Peter Crouch build, big, tall, dangly, langy, nice and skinny, kind of has, a bit of a, time on his side. I think he's only 24, 25 years old. And he wouldn't really break the bank either, but I don't know, Dave. What are your thoughts on the rumor with this Austrian striker?
Yeah, look, first of all, I want to say Stuttgart have tried to offer him a contract extension and a pay rise to keep him, but he is keen on a move to further his career. Because of the year left on his contract, Jack, and the cheap transfer fee, there is a lot of interest around Europe in this guy. So let me go through maybe some of the clubs individually that are interested and rule a couple out. I don't think Liverpool will buy, even though he loves Klopp, as they have just laid out a massive fee on Darwin Núñez and have plenty of other options up in the forward departments. United are rumoured to be interested, as they will be looking to replace Edinson Cavani, so I'd say that interest could be strong. Chelsea are said to be interested as a replacement for Lukaku, who went to Inter Milan today, even though it is worth noting Tammy Abraham and Armando Broja, whatever you want to call him, the guy from Southampton, are returning to the club for pre-season. And that rumors is that they are willing to give them a chance and look at them. So they may not necessarily want to pull the trigger yet on buying this guy. Leicester are also said to be interested, apparently looking for a long-term replacement for Jamie Vardy. But they also have Patson Daka, Kelechi Iheanacho, and Jose Perez. And with Vardy showing no signs of retirement anytime soon, I would be surprised if they actually went for this guy. Interestingly enough now, Jack, you said his agents were in England holding talks last week with an unnamed club. Well, I think I've got down to who that club may be. And I think it's Brighton. Because Brighton have also been linked with interest in Kalajdžić. And this one makes sense to me, as they were getting the 25 million for Bissouma from us last week. So that means they had the financial capabilities already to pull this one off. And we know how much they're in desperate need of a striker. If they had a better striker or a consistent goal scorer, they probably would have had a better campaign than what they already did last season. So for me, I would think that would make sense. That was probably Brighton, more the unnamed club that has made contact with this guy. Now, I will say Bayern Munich are also said to hold maybe a bit of interest, which is also a viable destination, as they will be looking to replace Robert Lewandowski, who apparently has already agreed a move to Barcelona. Now, I actually think we are definitely interested in his services, Jack. It's a cheap transfer fee. The fact that we need support for Harry Kane up front, and the fact that we know Paratici will be pursuing multiple targets at once in the one position and take the very best player on offer. So I'm not surprised to see Kalajdžić, Richarlison, and maybe a few more come out of the woodwork. It's the way Paratici offers. Now, why are so many clubs interested in the 24-year-old Austrian? Well, let me tell you why. Since Stuttgart returned to the Bundesliga in 2020, he has scored 22 league goals from 48 appearances. He guarantees you roughly a goal every 2 games. He provides a different option up front that many clubs don't have because of his height, 6'7". And he provides a physical and an aerial presence up there as well. Now, but Jack, here's where my speculation or my hesitation comes into this one. Because when I was growing up, Tottenham had a history of signing injury-plagued players. Now, he has been injured for the majority of 2 out of his last 3 campaigns, which is slightly concerning to me. And I would want a lot more homework done on this guy and find out the reasons why maybe he keeps breaking down before we sign him. Now, like we said, 6'7" tall, and he will add a new dimension to Tottenham's play by being able to whip balls into the box. He will provide a towering presence as well in the box when he plays, and this comes up especially against the low block teams. It just gives us that other option, that target man in the box that you can play deep crosses, get to the byline, whip one in, good old-fashioned football. And he would clearly help in in regard to being able to utilize Kalajdžić from the bench either, if we need more of a presence up front. He will also be able to help us in defending set pieces and maybe hopefully being able to capitalize on more of the attacking set pieces as well with balls into the box. Now, it is worth noting that Stuttgart did finish 15th in the Bundesliga last season. And what we offered that United, Leicester, Brighton, and Stuttgart cannot offer is Champions League football. And that is what makes us probably more of an attractive proposition to this guy, the fact that we can give him that opportunity. Now, for me, I think this is a safety net that if we do not get Richarlison, as we know, Richarlison has been heavily linked with Chelsea today, and I would prefer to spend that big money on Richarlison, knowing exactly what we are going to get. He offers us cover in two positions rather than take a punt on Kalajdžić because he is cheaper, even though he comes with an injury record. So if Richarlison joins Chelsea, though, Jack, I might change my mind as we will have to look at another target. But as it stands, I still have all my eggs in Richarlison's basket, and I think this one could be a safety net in case we don't get Richarlison.
I've often vouched, Dave, for, I feel like younger, talented strikers are kind of the hybrid, of what everybody wants in the backup striker, because everybody wants a backup striker that we feel like we know can score goals in case, let's say, the worst happens to Harry Kane, right? And we want someone that can step in. Not that can, of course, perform to Harry Kane-esque levels, Dave, but we know can be able to put in goals and be able to, maybe sort of fill in, the goals that would go missing, let's say, when Harry Kane gets injured. And I feel like it's hard to bring in, the world-class strikers just to play that sort of role, because at the end of the day, I know we all say, it's all competition, they all get, plenty of games. I completely agree. To call them backups is really harsh. I don't think calling them backups is fair. At the same time, though, Dave, when you're playing with 3 in the back, or basically 5 in the back, you actually have fewer positions available in the front line. So that does mean then that there is going to be some forward player every game that will be starting on the bench. And that might be a very important player for Spurs. And I know it's always good to have important players for Spurs, starting on the bench because you want that competition. But that's why I feel like going for the Lautaro Martinez in particular, it's just a bit unrealistic. It seems kind of crazy to have someone like a Lautaro sitting on the bench. But you still want someone, though, Dave, right? That's young, that can potentially fill in later, that also, though, can score goals in case a Harry Kane may leave. Sasa Kalajdzic, he's not exactly my first choice. I really feel like, again, I've stressed this before, De Ketelaere is kind of my first choice for that sort of player that is young enough to maybe play behind Harry Kane, but also be able to come in and play alongside Harry Kane / challenge in other positions. Sasa Kalajdzic, he's more of an out-and-out striker. He's more of kind of like the Peter Crouch, Diego, or, like Llorente sort of mode, Dave, where, the big, tall, target man. To be fair to him, though, he is more of kind of like more than a target man. Like, he has good finishing. He scored some pretty exceptional goals, I must say, Dave. Even last season, the season that I know you did say he has some injury troubles, but last season he did play 33 Bundesliga games and did actually have 16 goals and 5 assists in those 33 Bundesliga games. So when maybe available, he can, produce. And
I don't think that was last season. Was that not the season before? Last season,
or 2 seasons. Yeah, no, you're right, Dave. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're correct. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, last season, Dave is right. Had huge injury problems. Only played 15 games and had 6 goals and 1 assist. 2 seasons ago, had 16 goals and 5 assists in 33 games. I feel like, though, Kalajdžić, he's just sort of makes sense, Dave. It's not the perfect choice. It's not the ideal, diamond, backup striker or, second striker that we're looking for. It's just as one that's realistic. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like how would I describe it? It's not like a Fabio Silva, though, from like Porto, where it's like, you're overpaying for him. You have no idea what he can produce. I feel like with Sasa Kalajdzic, let's say we pay 20 million, 23 million. Like, I just don't really see that being a bad investment, Dave. I see that as being a confident sort of buy in a guy that could step in for Kane in case something goes wrong, with Harry Kane. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Look, we'll wait and see how this one pans out. Look, for me as well, it was the season before that when Stuttgart were down in Bundesliga 2. He was injured for the majority of that campaign, played barely any of it now as well. And that's 2 out of 3 seasons. And I'd just be hesitant to go back down that route of, because look, when I was growing up, like I already said, Tottenham had a history of bringing in injury crop players because they were maybe getting them on the cheap and stuff like that. And I do not want to go back to them times. If we are spending money, I want to make sure that, either we have the root to the problems of why he keeps breaking down or why he keeps getting injured, illness, etc., and we can fix it, or else I would stay away from him. Because look, for me, we know how Paratici operates. Like I said, he likes to cast his net far and wide, but I would much rather focus on Richarlison because you know exactly what you're going to get. Now, I know a lot of Spurs fans really do like Sasa Kalajdzic, but for me, I think you're probably taking a bit of a punt and a risk. Whereas Richarlison, for me, is a sure thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not like we're strapped for cash either. We can afford
to
lay out some big sort of money. Now, look, if we ended up laying out big money on a centre-back and Sasa Kalajdzic is maybe what we can afford, like I said, around 20, 25 million with 1 year left on his contract, I think, okay, fine. But until then, I would actually rather lay out the big money on Richarlison because you just know exactly what you're going to get in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, I actually agree, Dave. At the end of the day, I'd sooner take a Richarlison. He can play across the forward line. I'd sooner take a versatile forward that can confidently play as a backup striker to Harry Kane, but then also, Dave, be able to challenge other players for the first team in the forward line as well. I think Richarlison is a perfect example of that. Sasa Kalajdzic, at the end of the day, is an out-and-out number 9. He's only going to be basically playing as a number 9, and you might be limiting yourself when bringing in a player like that, whereas a Richarlison is probably more worth your money. And so I do agree with that.
Yeah. Big up R Green 216, new channel member. Big up, my man. I really do appreciate it. Everybody, if it's only $4.99 a month, it's a massive help to everything we do here. It's actually cheaper than your Netflix, then your Amazon Prime, and you get 2 fan shows every single week to come on.
Grab the fan show membership as well. Art Green did. He grabbed that fan show membership. We're going to be seeing you hopefully Friday. Art Green will be chatting all these transfer news like we just did right now. Then you would come on and have your say about everything that we have just brought to you news-wise, as well as you probably know Art Green. Of course, fan show on Monday. Nowadays, everybody with the fan show 2 times a week. Everybody, the fan show, you get 2. So basically 8 fan shows a month now when you really think about it.
Yeah, and you can come on and have your say on all things great Tottenham, especially when the season kicks in. You'll get frustrated maybe with games or you'll be late with games. You can come on and have your say and basically help secure the long-term, security of this channel. But big up R Green. Moondog, big up Moondog. He says, I can't wait for the news that Winks is gone. Look, honestly, I'll have party poppers at the ready. I cannot wait either. For me, it's taken too long. But again, I keep saying there's no interest in him. Who wants to take Harry Winks into midfield? Who looks at their midfield and says, this guy can give me presence in midfield? Nobody. Who looks at this guy and says, do you know what? This guy is the ball-playing midfielder we need. Nobody. Because he can't do it. He's proven that with the chances at Tottenham. Look, I fear that we'll have to probably do something like we've done with Dele Alli. Look, take him. If he comes good, then pay us. I just struggle to see the interest in him. I just, look, us Spurs fans think he's crap. Conte thinks he's crap. Mourinho thought he was crap. Bar Pochettino. Pochettino said he could get to Xavi and Iniesta levels. But for me, I mean, look, I think we're struggling to generate the interest in this guy, if I'm being honest with you, Moondog. But big up, brother. Really do appreciate it.
It's going to be huge news for David Moondog. And honestly, if you see me running the channel for a few days, Dave's just AWOL. It might just be because of that news, my man. But big up, Moondog. And also, Dave, Republican of Streams is celebrating 6 months as a Flat Cap member and saying excellent YouTube channel. Really do appreciate that, Republican of Streams. Absolutely.
Big up, my man.
I do appreciate support, brother.
Yeah, big up, brother. I really, really do appreciate that. Such kind words, my man. Hopefully we'll see you on a van show very, very soon. Now, look, we'll keep this moving, guys. Quickly, I want to give you an update on this next one, and it is Bastoni, guys. Basically, this is just a quick update on Bastoni. His agent, Tinty, has closed the door on any possible deal for Bastoni this summer as via Fabrizio Romano, and he came out and said Bastoni's agent, after meeting with Inter Milan, has said Bastoni will stay at Inter Milan next season, as we are used to respecting contracts. This also comes off the back of news and reports today saying PSG and Inter are closing in on a 70 million deal for Skriniar, with more negotiations taking place today to try and get that finalized. And look, for me, just quickly, I'm not going to harp on too long about it. I think we've all done enough talking about Bastoni. But look, Inter Milan will not sell two of their star defenders this summer. They're never going to do it. Look, I will say that Tottenham do need to probably act urgently addressing that left-sided centre-back position. And the reason why I say that is, look, Gary Neville said it on one of his overlap shows. An Expression said it with Don Robbie, that he was talking to Ashley Young at a funeral. And they were both saying the demands that Conte places on his player, demands that the regime, demands from the squad and everything else, that it is an awful lot. And some players can get fed up with it very, very quickly or become tired with it. Now, look, what I will say is we need to get someone in to push the likes of a Dyer and a Davy to a new level, because off back of previous of what's gone on, what's to say they don't get fed up halfway during the season with everything? We don't have anybody to come in and step up in place of them. And the reason why I say that is because they've done it under Pochettino, got him sacked. Jose Mourinho, Nuno in Davies' circumstances, he went to Levy about Nuno and everything else. So what's to say that they don't get fed up with it halfway during the season and we're left there exposed with no backup? So I do think we need to act urgently in the market to go and get the signing in that position. And for me, that's all you're going to hear on me from Bastoni ever again.
Yeah, it looks like the Skriniar deal is happening, Dave, and that just means that they're probably getting enough money that they would need from that center back position. They were looking to get, I think, by 60 million, by the end of June. Looks like they're going to be getting that with Skriniar, which probably puts a lot of cold water on the Bastoni rumors, which is a huge shame, Dave. Huge shame. But maybe we move on to somebody that perhaps, I don't know, we kind of have a different opinion on this guy, and someone I think is a bit of a divisive sort of candidate for that left-sided center back role, and it is the French center back Clement Lenglet. And he is, according to a Spanish publication Sport, Tottenham have sent a proposal to Clement Lenglet. The defender is expected to meet with his agent later this week to discuss all the proposals that have been sent to Barcelona and have been sent to his agent. According to many outlets, Lenglet is one of the first Barcelona players expected to leave the door this summer. Michael Bridge has claimed that if Tottenham get desperate for a left-sided center back, that Lenglet could be the choice Spurs do go for. Dave, what are your thoughts on Lenglet? Like Michael Bridge just said, maybe Spurs are getting desperate.
Look, especially off the back of the Bastoni deal, I'm not surprised to see, or off the Bastoni news, I'm not surprised to see this one lurking around again. Now, what I will say, this guy has actually been offered to a number of European clubs this summer. That's been no secret. Barcelona want him gone at all costs. The fans absolutely hate this guy. And like you were saying, Jack, they need to sell so they can start signing players that they have lined up to come in on pre-contracts. Lewandowski, Kessié, Marcos Alonso, Cesar Azpilicueta, Christensen. Now, there were reports earlier in the window linking Tottenham to a 2-year loan move for Clement Lenglet. Now, my initial thoughts at the time when I seen that, for me, it was a fail-safe option if we could not get our longer-term targets this summer, like Bastoni, like Torres, or even as bringing him in as an option to as backup to maybe Eric Dyer, if we could not afford a centre back and a left-sided centre back. If we did make contact for a loan deal, it would be a very smart but opportunistic deal, trying to capitalize on Barcelona's need to offload wages to bring in players that, like we said, on the pre-contracts. Now, on this one, I would hold off putting any transfer bid in, because as we know, they already have a verbal agreement with Raphinha but can't afford them. So instead of actually releasing funds to help Barcelona fund that deal for Raphinha, go for Raphinha yourself, put in the asking price, get the deal wrapped up with the player nice and quick, then go back for Lenglet and take advantage of the fact that Barcelona need to do a deal again to get in their pre-contract players. Again, The longer United take to negotiate the De Jong deal, again, the better it is. As if we can act quick here, we can take advantage of the market, Jack. Take advantage of Barcelona's misfortunes. Like I said, you get the Raphinha deal wrapped up nice and quick, and then you put the pressure on Barcelona, that make them panic, make them want to offload, just happy to offload the wages so that they give them to us on loan, so that they can even get one of their pre-contract signings in, because the pressure is building on them to get rid of players. What I will say is, once, especially with maybe some of the targets we've been linked with, the likes of Raphinha, Clement Lenglet, etc., if United get that De Jong deal done anytime soon, we will have to end up going and paying cash for Lenglet. We won't get him on loan, and we will miss out on Raphinha. And you also look at the pre-contracts they have lined up. Once De Jong to Manchester United happens, and we've explained this before, the transfer window is always a domino effect. You will see a hell of a lot of deals being done very, very quickly once that transfer happens. And that's why we need to capitalize on the market before that deal happens.
In the case of Lenglet, Dave, what kind of maybe confuses me about this is that, a few weeks ago, there were rumors that Spurs sort of saw this as a loan deal, and not one that they would do as sort of a transfer. What I must say, though, Dave, is that you are quite clever with maybe saying that perhaps Spurs push hard for Raphinha only to upset, the likes of Barcelona, where you put them in a bad position where maybe you get even better negotiating terms with the Lenglet deal after you maybe seal up someone like a Raphinha. It'd be a great way, Dave, in fact, to probably flex sort of those financial muscles that we do want to be able to show now that we have a bit more money in the bank. We want to be able to kind of bully teams about, maybe with the money that we have at our disposal. So, Dave, I think that'd be a great way to do it. So I'm actually quite proud of you, for that sort of theory. And it'd be nice to see if Kalajdžić does something similar. But for me, Dave, I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this. For me, 4 weeks ago, Lenglet, he was sort of being rumored on The Athletic as kind of a player that was on, seen as a loan option only for Spurs, somebody that they would just take if they kind of didn't get their options at Bastoni, Torres, and the likes of Gvardiol. For me, I feel like that's still the case for Spurs. I don't see why Spurs would pay a transfer fee for Lenglet. I see them bringing him in on loan, because Kalajdžić, Dave, is he really going to settle on, Lenglet as like a transfer when maybe he could take Lenglet on loan and then maybe, just take him for a year, perhaps, go after Gvardiol, Bastoni, whatever it may be, a second time, the following summer, or maybe even in January.
No, 100%. Look, what I will say is, I think we will end up maybe having to put in cash for someone like Lenglet, Jack, because for me, he fits Conte's brief more than someone like an Ndike or somebody like that. And for me, that's why I think if the De Jong deal happens, Barcelona be in a situation where they won't actually have to knee-jerk and maybe give this guy out on loan purely so that they can offload wages, that they would be able to sit there because they have the finances coming in for De Jong, that they'll be able to sit there and wait for someone eventually to come in with cash, for Lenglet, because they'll be able to hold out towards the end of the window. So for me, look, I think, like I said, I think it is an emergency. Well, not an emergency, don't get me wrong, but I am starting to panic a little. We do need somebody else in that position. But for me, I think, look, I keep saying this, if De Jong happens, we will not get him in on loan, because Barcelona will wait to deadline day to hopefully cash in on this guy, and there will be at least one taker.
Do you think Barcelona are not taking loan deals? That's maybe the problem here, is that they might take, the best deal for them. And the best deal for them, Dave, would be a transfer fee. Maybe what I'm trying to ask, do you see Spurs actually throwing in a transfer fee, which is what Barcelona would take right away?
I think they would, Jack. I don't see why they wouldn't. I think he's more, like I said, I think he's more of a Conte player than what someone like Ndike is. You look at Lenglet, he's got Champions League experience. He's playing around the block, fully international. You look at someone like Ndike, he's probably only really came to fame last season on his run with Frankfurt to the Europa League final. Before that, not a lot of people would have really known about this guy.
Yeah.
And for me, I think he's probably ahead. I'm trying to put myself in Conte's position. If I was Conte and the way sort of person and the sort of manager I am, and you want for the here and now, Lenglet suits that brief more than Ndika. So I wouldn't be surprised to maybe if the fact that we don't get Bastoni, the fact that Pau Torres, all the news there has gone completely quiet. I would not be surprised to see us maybe try and actually bring him in on a permanent basis.
He'd be exceptionally cheap though, Dave, on that transfer fee. Like he'd be, I would imagine 10 to 15 million is probably what we'd maybe even pay for him. I don't see us paying more than 20 for him because he's had 2 really poor seasons in a row, over at Barcelona. And this is sort of, I don't know, like this is a great opportunity for Lenglet to resurrect, his kind of career, at some stage. And maybe I just don't see Spurs spending too much. It would be a really good, cheap opportunity maybe for Spurs. And I must say, right, if you bring in someone like a Lenglet, really good Ben Davies competition, but then you can maybe save money. And I know we have a lot of money now, so I always talk about saving money, but you can then spend bigger money perhaps on a De Ligt or something crazy to compete with Eric Dyer. It doesn't have to, be the big money on the left-sided center back. Perhaps you do it somewhere else. Spurs talk show saying, let's not think of him. Sorry, yeah, Dave.
No, go on. After that, I want to take one comment.
Yeah, Spurs talk show saying, let's not think of him as a last chance saloon. Clement Lenglet will be a monster for us. He just needs a hug. Get him in. Pick up, boys. I love it, Sean. Everybody check out Spurs talk show. He's been having really good discussions comparing all these left-sided center backs that we've been discussing as well. But Dave, Clement Lenglet, I mean, has the Spurs fan base maybe been too harsh on the guy for what he could bring to Spurs? Some people really just think he's just terrible, should never even be looked at. Is that being too harsh on him? Maybe he just needs a bit of a hug.
Look, Barcelona bought him for a reason in the first place. Now, look, yes, it's gone a bit sour over there, but look, maybe Sean's right. Maybe he just does need an arm around him. And if you look at what Conte has done to Dyer and Davies, who, especially in Dyer's occasion, situation, is more being out of the team than what he's ever been in it. Look what he's been able to do with him by putting him under his regime, putting an arm around him, talking nicely about him in the press. Why can't he do that for someone like Clement Lenglet? Cheap option. Look, I think there could potentially be a deal to be had here. Maybe he can come in and hit the ground running and help us out. But look, like I keep saying, I think he's definitely, for me, I would have him on the list ahead of some of the other names that maybe Hinsape and DK. I'd have this guy on the list ahead of them for sure. But look, big up, Shawnee. Big up. Just quickly, I just want to take this comment before we lose it. He says, Dave, you love the people that agree with you, but can't take the people who don't. Name the injured players we signed. Now, look, I'm talking about probably, I don't know how old you are, D. Maybe I'm a bit older than you. Perfect example. You want the biggest one? Jamie Redknapp. Now come back and argue with me. Spurs were once known as a walk and sit. No, when we signed Jamie Redknapp, we were fully aware of his injury problems that he was having at Liverpool and all these other clubs beforehand. So there's a perfect example. And look, if I didn't like people that disagreed with me, I wouldn't do fan shows at all. I wouldn't do debate shows at all. I can't take people disagreeing with me, just to let you know. No problem whatsoever. But what I won't do is give someone the attention in the chat that's abusing people on the panel so that they can get their comment read out. Because I don't want to develop that sort of culture at this channel. And I more put people's opinions up on screen that actually give their football an opinion. Because that's what this channel is for. And that's the culture I'm trying to create at this channel. So I wouldn't say I don't do anything with people that don't disagree with me, because that's false. I go on loads of shows everywhere and loads of people disagree with me. Never a problem.
Al Benson, Royal, Lenglet, we are buying the Barcelona name. In fact, it's probably what happened actually with Emerson Royal. There was a lot of hype, built around the guy over with this Real Betis loan, which was actually a great loan over at Real Betis. But perhaps we were just buying, the Barcelona pedigree. What comes with Barcelona players. We think, oh, if Barcelona did their homework on the guy, that means we should probably just take him because, any player that's over at Barcelona might be a good one. And this could be the case, with Lenglet as well. I must say, though, like, Lenglet, I'm not the biggest fan of. Royal, I really like, just sort of as a dressing room personality and just the story over at Spurs, but I probably still would sell him if I was given the chance. So I do see where you're coming from now. Maybe nowadays when you're buying Barcelona players, you're almost kind of, forgetting that, they do have, a lot of mistakes, in the transfer market there. And we need to do our homework on some of their players.
Yeah, look, Look, I will admit, look, Barcelona have had a horrendous recruitment policy over the last while. It's not the same Barcelona and the shrewd moves that they used to make, because all of their guys are now at Man City making them exact moves. But look, with Lenglet, look, I'm just going to say I wouldn't write him off. I would not write him off. Are we buying the Barcelona name? I hope not, because I definitely don't want the Spotify Stadium or anything like that. So I hope not. But look, right now with Barcelona, there are some sort of deals to be had. So it's not a bad place to look at and see if there's a player that you can get out of there that can make a difference to your team. That's what I would say. Their financial troubles, every club around Europe, every big club around Europe, be looking at Barcelona, seeing if they can get somebody out of there.
No, I kind of like that take there. Big up, Alba, and really do appreciate support. At any stage, everybody, if you do want to stop us, feel free to throw it in a super chat. It's a great way to talk about the news that we are discussing right now. It's also just a great way to support the channel. We are moving on to Christian Eriksen, and reports from The Guardian last night revealed that Christian Eriksen has turned down approaches by Manchester United, leaving Brentford and Tottenham as his most likely destinations, considering that he would like to remain in London. Thomas Frank has a special agreement, though, in place with Eriksen. He revealed in an interview with Spanish publication AS that Thomas Frank said that Bees are hopeful to resign Eriksen, and that Eriksen would call Frank and notify him about his decision, regardless of the destination that he chooses. Eriksen and Frank have also a very close relationship, and Thomas Frank even went to say that I coached Eriksen in the youth ranks over in Denmark. In October, my son called me, Dad, why don't you contact Christian? He has to play football again. I called Eriksen in December and asked him if he would consider playing football again after his cardiac arrest. And he replied, the funny thing is, I thought of you too. So, Dave, they are actually quite close to each other, Thomas Frank. They've been kind of, sort of like father and son almost kind of relationship, maybe for quite a long time. Maybe we're not taking that into consideration, that, Brentford is a very kind place and a very nice place for Christian Eriksen. And, he is well loved there, clearly.
Yeah, look, Jack, I have a number of thoughts on this. First of all, after tonight, I will not be speaking about this no more until Christian Eriksen actually comes out himself and announces his decision. Because, look, we've heard so many conflicting reports. Yeah. Tottenham strongly interested. Then it comes out Tottenham have made contact a number of weeks ago, but haven't followed up that interest. Then it comes out that Conte is happy with his 4 midfield options, that we're now concentrating on defense, right back, and striker. We don't even want another midfielder. Then it's like, he's set to reject United, but he wants to return to work with Ten Hag. All these rumors, they're all so conflicting, and I actually think nobody has a clue what's going on. They're guessing. And I think we just have to, and Eriksen is holding his cards close to his chest, and we'll just have to wait for his decision. But Jack, I do have one little thing on this, and I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy theory, because I think there could be some truth to this, Jack. Looking at reports saying that we contacted him a few weeks ago, but have not followed up the interest, I'm starting to think it was actually a smokescreen to keep people occupied while we were silently working on the deal for Bissouma in the background. And that's what I think we've done there, because if we haven't followed up the interest, we certainly made ourselves look interested so that the agents will put it out there, so that the news grab hold of it, so that it goes everywhere. It keeps Man United occupied, first of all. And then by the time they found out we were trying to do Bissouma, they were a day too late. So I actually think Christian Eriksen was used to get the Bissouma deal under the wraps, in my opinion. And I think it could come out in a couple of days that maybe this guy is going off somewhere else. And if that's the case, I'm 100% on the money.
In terms of the Christian Eriksen thing, Dave, my last thing that I probably haven't said before, like you said, Dave, this has been well covered, probably our thoughts on the guy, but it really just now that he's rejected Man United, it just depends on what he wants. Does he want to play with a club like Brentford, Dave, where he's really well loved? He has the support of the manager. He gets to play the position that he wants. He doesn't have to play in as high profile competition all the time. He doesn't have to compete with as high profile of players all the time as well. He doesn't have to play in that Antonio Conte rigorous, preseason that you were just talking about as well, Dave. Yeah. Maybe that sounds like maybe something he doesn't want to do, because I don't think anybody really wants to do it unless you really do think you're up for it. And then also when you kind of think about it, it's just two very sort of different clubs with very different situations. Brentford, Dave, they're just trying to, probably progress further up the table, maybe finish mid-table this time instead of, lower mid-table. Whereas Spurs, we're talking about, competing in the Champions League. We're talking about winning trophies. Like, it's just a very different mentality that he's picking between. Is he going into a side with Spurs that's trying to achieve a lot and, is going to be really putting a lot of pressure on every single result that they get? Or does he want to go to a Brentford, Dave, where like, you lose 3-0, one weekend, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Like, let's be honest. So, I don't know.
Quickly,
it's just two different vibes.
Just quickly before we move on, Jack, there is breaking news as we speak on Raphinha, and it is coming out that Tottenham are ready to submit an offer for Raphinha for £50 million plus £10 million in add-ons, which makes it a deal for £60 million. And this has come out by Gianluigi Longari, who's a transfer specialist for Sport Italia TV. So that Tottenham has put out a bid, are ready to submit the bid of 50 million plus 10 million and add-ons. Now, I know we were supposed to try and make contact with Raphinha himself, but maybe that's already been done. Maybe he's already said he will come to Tottenham or he's open to it, and that's why we're now putting in the official bid. But Jack, like what I said earlier on Raphinha, act quick now while this De Jong deal is stalling with Man United and Barcelona, which is going to create the funds for this guy. The window's opportunity is there. Go and get that done, then go back to Barcelona. Give them a double jeopardy and take Lenglet. Use this situation and the market to our advantage. Look, I'm all for being able to get the business in, and if we can get it in cheaper than what we had originally planned to spend, by all means, I'm happy for it. So for me, I'm happy to see Tottenham are acting nice and quick and putting in this supposed potential bid.
In the case of Raphinha, Dave, I'd just be scared if he went to any other Premier League club, apart from ours. I do really rate him that highly that if we were to come up against Raphinha, like with an Arsenal, with a Chelsea, whatever it may be, I'd be scared of Raphinha, Dave. Like in Stats with Jack, I'd be identifying him as a key player for them because he really is that dangerous out wide. And especially if he were afforded more of the ball, Dave, if he were probably, playing a different sort of role in a team like Spurs, you could see him just absolutely causing havoc. He is probably, to a degree, one of the best right wingers in Premier League. I think, no doubt. Maybe he's even in the top 3, top 4, sort of conversation, which is a very privileged conversation. You're talking about Kulusevski, you're talking about Bukayo Saka, you're talking about Mo Salah, Dave. There are a lot of good players you're competing with for that right wing spot. So I would say Raphinha, one of the best out there. In the case of if he were to come to Spurs, it does, bring interest to sort of, the backup striker / second striker conversation. Maybe we might consider Kulusevski being able to fill in for Kane, if Kane needs to drop out, who knows? Maybe we're still going to go for a Sasa Kalajdzic or something like that. Maybe a cheaper option. It definitely adds really good firepower to that front line. And honestly, Dave, it is way better firepower than Steven Bergwijn is in that front line as well, which I'm very happy about. So I must say, it's not a transfer, Dave, that makes the most sense in terms of what Spurs need. But I will say, I think everybody loves Raphinha. Everybody would take Raphinha. And he is probably one of the most dangerous players in the Premier League. And we would hate to see him go anywhere else. And so I'd be happy to take him, Dave. But it is kind of interesting. £50 million. That sort of seems around the original price that I was talking about, Dave, like 55 million euros plus add-ons, right? So I don't know. Like it's a bit interesting because I thought it was going to be more around the 70 million euro mark that maybe, Leeds were going to, part ways with him because it looked like there was a big bidding war, for Raphinha. Perhaps you're right. Maybe Spurs are, kind of jumping the gun, maybe getting ahead of everybody else and trying to sign Raphinha before the likes of Barcelona or the Gooners do.
Yeah. Look, and hopefully that is the case. Look, we did express earlier on that he's a big Thierry Henry fan. He has said in an interview he would like to play for Arsenal one day. But, he's also supposedly agreed a 5-year deal with Barcelona, and his preferred destination is the new camp. Look, there's a lot of varying conflicting reports. Mark says here in the chat that there's also reports now saying that, Barcelona and Chelsea are his favorite destinations. But look, for me, I think there is serious interest. I'm actually happy to see us maybe even go in, even potentially enter a proper bidding war for this player. It's not something we're known for here at Tottenham. Sometimes you look at these deals happening and we're sitting idle, twiddling our thumbs, sitting there thinking, why can't we at least try and make an attempt to sign this player? The fact that we have, I'm happy for it. And hopefully we wake up tomorrow and there has been a serious offer put in. But that is the latest on Raphinha, guys. Just quickly again, Tottenham are set to put in a bid of 50 million plus 10 million in add-ons for Raphinha. So hopefully that deal does happen. We have a super chat here from William McKelly. And he says, Davey, the conspiracy theory expert. Look, I'm not a conspiracy theory expert, but I do a lot of digging into these things. And look, like I said, with the Kalajdžić and the Brighton and the unnamed club, it makes sense what I said. And with Christian Eriksen, it makes sense what I said when you link the actual report about from, I think it was Ali Gold that put out that Tottenham did go in for him, but haven't, or inquired about him, but never followed up. Well, it was the same time we were also doing the Basuma deal. So I wouldn't say a conspiracy theory expert, William. I would say very analytical of the market and spot on the money. Big up, William Kelly. Really appreciate that, my man. Everyone, keep smashing that like button. 314 people in the house. Keep smashing that like button. It's a massive help to everything we do here. Keep smashing that subscribe button if you are new for the channel. And guys, feel free to get your super chats in. It's a great way to help support the channel, but it's also a great way to skip the queue, disagree, agree with myself and Jack, and just get your points read out and discussed, guys. Look, keep also getting your thoughts in the chat, because we do know barely anybody can actually afford to get to work anymore. Barely afford. Your food shopping's gone up. Electric's gone up. We're well aware. So at least keep getting your thoughts in the chat. We are reading them as we go along, and also trying to do our best to discuss and bring them up at the same time. So keep bearing with us, guys. But look, Jack, we will keep moving. And a bit slightly a longer one than maybe what people are used to with these. But there's a hell of a lot of news today.
And now we're just going to quickly talk about Richarlison, Dave. I do believe it was covered yesterday, but Richarlison was seen in an Instagram story video, Dave, from Emerson Royal. Chelsea have joined the race, though, to sign the Everton striker Richarlison for around £50 million. But despite, though, Dave, those kind of newly, added Chelsea rumors and interest around the player, the Brazilian striker was seen hanging out last night with agent Emerson Royal via an Instagram story. Dave, agent Emerson, doing, what we like him to do, probably just doing what Kalajdžić maybe asked him to do this weekend. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, I just hope that Emerson, can actually put in a good word to Richarlison, tell him how great Tottenham is, how much we treat him well, how good Conte is, the environment around, and that's the right place for him to develop his career. Hopefully, Emerson could do that. Look, as we know, Paratici is very busy operating to get the big boys in. Daniel Levy, in fact, with that active, we now had to draft Daniel Levy in to negotiate for Jed Spence. And now we've also sent Emerson out to keep Richarlison. Keep a close eye on him, Jack, so that if he does get a phone call from Chelsea or he tries to sneak off, and there's interest from other clubs, we will be in the know because Emerson is around him. So hopefully that Emerson can actually convince Richarlison that Tottenham is the right move. Look, they are Brazilian, they are friends. That's probably what it is at the end of the day. But as I know, and we've heard this come out from loads of people, that, players do have words with other players, especially the international camps or on holidays, to try and maybe persuade them to join their club. So hopefully that is one of these situations. I'm not even going to go too much into Richarlison deal, because from Spurs' point of view, there is no real update on that. It's still the same as it was yesterday. The only update is, like Jack said, that Chelsea's come in for him or are now interested in him. And what I will say is Hakim Ziyech looks like he's on his way to AC Milan. So that does free up a spot in the squad. But they are also chasing down Raheem Sterling. And I think, that'll be his replacement. So I still hold out hope that Richarlison will come to Tottenham. If we could get Raphinha and Richarlison, oh, baby.
Agent Emerson on the case, everybody. Just let the man cook. Let the man cook. Let Agent Emerson cook. Aussie Spurs TV, though, says Paratici kitchen never closes. Great stuff, Laz. Big up Aussie Spurs. Really appreciate it, my man. I mean, he's clean in the kitchen. He's cooking right now. He's got, honestly, the Kalajdžić tasting menu. That's what's being put on display, my man. It's $100 tasting menu that he's putting on display. Big up Aussie Spurs.
I mean, Ozzy, just honestly, just put what what you want. Just put it down, and Conte or Paratici will make it. Can you smell what Conte or what Paratici is cooking? That's what I say, Aussie Spurs. Paratici is doing the business. He's keeping us real active, which I really like and I'm excited about. And hopefully now when these players get back from holidays, preseason is right around the corner. Hopefully over the next 2 weeks, you will actually see our targets come in here very, very quickly. That would be ideal.
Speaking of Agent Emerson, though, unfortunately, according to the Times, Antonio Conte has given the green light for Emerson to be sold, with Conte wanting to bring in a right wing back who is more comfortable, he said, going forward. It also goes on to say Tottenham Hotspur want to recoup the £22 million they paid to sign Emerson Royal last summer. Now it's been widely reported that Emerson could be on his way out the door this summer after only joining 12 months ago from Barcelona. This is off the back of Sky Sports reporting last week that Atletico Madrid have held long-term interest in Emerson and could make a move for Emerson to replace Trippier, who they did sell to Newcastle in January. This also comes off the back of a report 2 days ago by Spanish outlet AS, who said Atletico were hoping to sign Emerson. Dave, Atletico have always been the club that had been really connected with this guy. Let's say they paid majority of the fee back for it. That would be kind of an interesting sort of saga for the Emerson story.
Yeah, look, I have a number of things to say on Emerson, if I'm being honest, Jack. I did formulate a well-structured kind of my take on Emerson. Look, first of all, I do want to start by saying he was actually brought in here to replace the reckless, and I mean reckless, Serge Aurier. And in my opinion, Jack, he is actually he has not made anywhere near the as many mistakes defensively or as costly mistakes as Aurier was making. It was getting to the point where Aurier was actually starting to cost us every few weeks with his recklessness. So Emerson has actually been an upgrade, in my opinion, on what we had there previously. Now, it is also worth noting he was brought in to play a right back in a four under Nuno, and came with a reputation and was one of the most exciting young fullbacks in La Liga. And at the start of the season, he was actually showing some real potential. Now, when Nuno got sacked and Conte came in, that's where things really kind of set off for this guy. You know, he really struggled in Conte's system as a right wing back. Now, as we know, wing backs are crucial in Conte's system. He gives them the license to get forward, provide the width in the attacking third, and provide overloads out wide. And they are expected to cover a lot of ground, Jack, both defensively and in attack. And they need to be comfortable on the ball for it to work out. And this is where Emerson actually really lets himself down. Now, every fan has actually been frustrated at times with his crossing, with his passing ability. You know, again, he doesn't have much of a passing range. It's kind of very basic. And his overall ability to be involved in intricate moves going forward, it's been the most glaring and obvious thing with Emerson, I would say, especially against the likes of Brentford, Brighton, where we could actually benefit from some real quality in that area. Now, look, don't get me wrong, it's not the only reason why we struggle to break them down teams. Our centre-backs can move the ball a lot quicker, etc. But, of course, near the end of the season, he was actually starting to adapt and play well. He put in a brilliant shift at Anfield. Nobody really gives him any credit for that, and was very good on the ball that day as well, which not many people give him credit for again. But actually, I actually don't think Emerson is as bad as some of our fan base make him out to be honest with you, Jack. But there are arguments, in my opinion, to keep this guy, as he is defensively better than Matt Doherty. And we can actually use him in games like City, like Liverpool, where we're actually on the back foot. We're defending for the majority of the game. He also gave us the iconic image of the team celebrating with a flair in the North London derby, and is a great personality in and around the changing room. But look, I'm not going to sit here, Jack, and make the excuse that the change in management and the change in system, is an excuse for him. I'm not going to do that because I don't do it with other players. Look, if he was technically better, he'd be able to adapt to any manager and any sort of system they want to play. That's why technical players, always kind of that's what makes a great player, Jack. You look at Kane, Son, Højbjerg, players like that who can just adapt to what any manager kind of really wants from them. Romero's another one. Emerson hasn't really been able to do that, and that's what makes me think Emerson is more of a system player. You play a system that suits Emerson, you probably get the very best out of him. Now, one thing I will know, and I will actually give Emerson credit for, is that he did reveal about how he has struggled with adapting to life in England. Despite the struggles, Jack, he took steps to try and help himself, in my opinion, or into life in England, working with a mind coach and a neuroscientist. Now, before I go into more of my rant, people are going to say, well, what is a mind coach? So I've gone and done the research. I like to try and cover all bases. So a mind coach, a mindset coaching focuses on clients' existing beliefs and patterns of thinking. A good mindset coach works to help clients recognize, question, and revise persistent patterns of thought. The role of a life coach is to help people develop a solution-oriented perspective towards life's problems. So credit for that. What is a neuroscientist? A neuroscientist is curious about how the brain works. They study the brain and then they try to solve questions using scientific experiments. Now, Emerson also went on to say, sometimes people think that when someone is working out their mind, that means they are crazy. Now, here's what I love. I'll get onto that. But we use very little of our brain capacity, and we need to develop it, especially in high performance sports. I love that part of it. Now, he says, now I wake up an hour earlier than I did before and start to imagine how the training session is going to be to get into that mental zone. Now, this is what I absolutely love about Emerson. And the reason why I'm giving him praise is, Jack, because the amount of times I have seen players throw their toys out the pram, throw the towel in, blame the club, blame the management and everyone else but themselves. Now, without even, they don't even look at themselves, Jack. They don't even ask themselves the question, have I done everything I can possibly do to give myself the best opportunity to succeed here? And Emerson has not done that. He has not blamed the club. He's not blamed the management. He hasn't blamed the change in systems. He's realized himself. He's asked that question. Things are not working out. What can I do differently to help improve my situation here currently? I'm not enjoying life in England. I'm not exactly the first option in my position at the club. What can I do? And he's gone and done that. And I absolutely love that. I'm a big believer, Jack, as you know, in being proactive about helping yourself in these situations, especially as a professional footballer that earn the amount of money they do. Instead of spending it on flashy things, Emerson has actually spent that money on helping himself, Jack, helping himself as a person, trying to help his football career, which is what a lot of the top athletes do. They help themselves. They get mind coaches. They work with neuroscientists, all these fitness people, etc., etc. And he's trying to get the best out of himself. And by doing that, it shows he actually cares. He wants it to work out at Tottenham, and he wants to improve. But what leaves him vulnerable, though, Jack, this summer is his attacking output. He played 43 games across all competitions, scoring 1 and assisting 1. This is not sustainable in a Conte system. And with the type of manager Conte is, he is ruthless, and I'm not sure how much longer he will put up with the lack of ability being able to go forward.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely command what we paid for him, Jack, to answer your question. I don't think we'll lose any money out on what we said last summer. He wasn't that awful. But I will say, if Jed Spence was the only right wing back brought in this summer, I would actually keep Emerson around, purely because for his defensive abilities.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. The only way I would actually sell him either is if a club came in for our asking price, just straight up, there's the money, let us have him. Then I would think thinking about maybe go and line up someone better. But until we have someone better lined up, I'm at the stage where I actually want to keep him.
I really liked how you said, Dave, him being proactive and him spending his money on himself and not in the ways of flashy cars, expensive night outs, whatever it be. It was on improving his own game. It was on adapting to Spurs. Dave, he spent money on trying to adapt to Tottenham. He tried to spend money on adapting to the Premier League. He didn't spend it on he didn't spend it on, to go see Salt Bay or something like that at the restaurant, Dave. He spent it to try to adapt to this team. He spent it to try to succeed. And you can't blame him for that. And actually, you can only praise him for that. Actually, just the other, a few months ago, Dave, we were praising Sessegnon for, coming out, about, showing how he even saw, a therapist, Dave, how he even, sought help, for going through his own, kind of mental struggles with, not getting into the team, dealing with injuries, not being able to make that adaptation to, the Tottenham system and whatnot. And, we praise Sessegnon for the same thing. So we might as well praise Emerson for the same thing, Dave, because he's practically gone out and, gone through the same sort of preparation that Sessegnon did, which is, paying his own money, not something that, the Spurs, club paid for, Dave, not something that, came out of his contract or something like that. This guy went out of his own way to spend money to get himself better prepared for the team. And Sessegnon did the same thing. So I must say that only speaks of a good attitude. In the case of Emerson, though, Dave, I'm in the same boat as you, where if someone did come in and practically offered the same fee that we got him here for the first place with, which is around 22 million pounds, let's say Atletico paid 20 million pounds, 21 million pounds, I'd take it. As much as I loved Emerson, Dave, as much as I really liked his attitude, as much as I really liked, what he brought to Spurs, I also just wanted to back him, Dave, because this guy had a target on his back the moment he came into this football club. It felt like people just wanted to see him fail, when he came in, which is something I don't really subscribe to when it comes to new signings. I want to see new signings succeed. Even if I doubt the signing myself originally, I still want to see the signing succeed. I don't want to be proven right about a signing, not going well. It seems a bit kind of harsh to do to a guy. So I was happy to see that he got us into top 4. I was happy to see that he proved a few doubters wrong, I must say, especially with what this guy was being labeled with this at first, Dave. I think he proved at least a few doubters wrong. And it's nice to see that he was actually someone that was probably a really good influence and a really good kind of, mentality in the dressing room as well. Love Emerson at the end of the day, Dave. He might be a bit of a useless sort of crosser, might be a bit of a useless wing back at times, but you can't deny the attitude. You can't deny the positivity that he brought, and you can't deny the human being that he is, that he clearly is a good human being and someone that, takes his football seriously and takes his profession, seriously, Dave.
Look, I just think it's more important than nothing, because I agree with you, Jack. Look, the guy was put down before he was even brought in here. It did seem like Spurs fans wanted him to fail so that they could attach it to Paratici and the ownerships and stuff. And I fear it's going to be the same with Jed Spence, in my opinion. But you've got to give the guy credit. Like we said, Ndombele has thrown the club under the bus. Lo Celso has done it. Bergwijn has done it. There's been a culture developing until Paratici got in, that we brought in players. They'd never really failed they never lived up to their to the fans' expectations or what was expected of them. And they made every excuse why without ever looking at themselves. The fact that this guy has probably got just as much hate as some of these players, was actually invested in himself to try and improve the situation rather than blame the club, the management, and everything else. I've got to give him a lot of credit for, because it's not all. Look, my opinion is it can't always be the club. Yes, you do change in managers and stuff like that, but that can't always be the reason why you don't succeed. It wasn't a reason, for you not to succeed to come through the ranks, where you would have played under different managers. You would have played under different systems. No excuses then, so it shouldn't be an excuse now. The club do everything they can in terms of the training complex, the hotel. If your life outside is bad, you can stay in the bloody hotel. You're paid the wages you want. The club do everything on their part. And it's great now to see that a player is starting to do stuff on his part rather than just add to the culture, which he could have very easily done and blame the club and the change in management.
I completely agree with that, Dave. Absolutely spot on there. Tyler D saying, going back to before, saying Richarlison is Bergwijn critique in 12 months. Whoa, in my opinion, he's saying Richarlison will be in the same position Bergwijn
Maybe.
was in 12 months. That's kind of an interesting shout. I feel like, though, Richarlison, Dave, has a different sort of mentality than Bergwijn does. But then again, I am probably way off on that because I'm only speculating here. But Richarlison, Dave, he seems like someone that's more pissed just in general, not pissed that he isn't playing. I think he just seems like a guy that just slaps himself in the face a couple of times before he even, comes onto the pitch. I know people kind of, think that he has this bad attitude. I actually don't really think he does. I think he just, is one of those guys that, doesn't joke around while he's playing. He just needs to be in that angry sort of mindset because that's how he best achieves. So if you ask me, Richarlison, I know he looks like a hothead. I know he seems like kind of an S house, a shit house, but I feel like it's a different kind of shit house than maybe people, give him credit for or, criticize him for.
Look, no one's seen the way Bergwijn was going to go, and no one can predict the way Richarlison is going to go. Look, it very well could be, Tyler, that you could be sitting here saying that in about 12 months' time. But I honestly don't think so. Richarlison will get games. Look, let's not forget, Bergwijn has had opportunities in cups, Europa Conference League, Europa League when we were in it on the Mourinho. He didn't exactly set them alight either, did he? With Richarlison, he will score goals. He will get game time. I actually love the fact that he's really angry. And he's just angry at life, really. He's just angry. It's just the sort of person he is. I can get like that at times where you're just angry. You don't know why. You're just angry. But at the end of the day, Conte, someone like Conte, an elite manager, whether it be Conte, he'll never be clocked because he's at Liverpool, whether it be Guardiola or even Tuchel at Chelsea, they will look at that and channel that in the right way. He looks so angry on the pitch for everything because they're losing every week. If I was playing in a team losing every week, I would be bloody angry. I'd be going ballistic. I'd be bollocking players. I'd be questioning the management. I'd be questioning the tactics because I'm a winner and I can't put up with losing. And Richarlison, for me, is in a similar mode where he cannot stand losing. And the reason why I say that is he turned up when it mattered most. Look, everyone rates this Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Injured most of the season. Barely done anything for Everton this season. Richarlison scored 6 in the last 9 and turned up when it mattered most.
Yep.
Everyone talks about Calvert-Lewin, but no one wants to give Richarlison the praise that he deserves. This is a guy that also done unbelievable at Watford and was, in fact, their brightest light. Someone that used to grab games by the scruff of the neck and make something happen at Watford as well. He's hit double digits 3 out of his 4 last Premier League seasons. People are going to look at the guy's stats and say, oh, well, they're low. But they don't want to talk about that he played in a Rafa Benitez system that is so defensive that, honestly, Jack, you could sit in the centre-back position and have a cigar. You know what I mean? And not really have not much to do. It's that defensive and it's that much blocked up. He's parking the bus. Richarlison, I really like. And look, he may well, like I said, Tyler, turn out like a Bergwijn. But the fact of the matter is, Bergwijn's head is not at Tottenham. He doesn't want to be here. He stated multiple times. He has to go and someone else has to come in. It's just where we're at with this situation. There's no turn in Bergwijn's head to stay. He does not want to be here. He wants out, so we have to replace him.
I like the bold prediction, though, Tyler. I do like the bold prediction, my man. Speak with your chest. Absolutely love it, Tyler.
Yeah, it is a bold one. I'll remember that in 12 months as well, Tyler.
Yeah, one of us is going to be proven wrong here, Tyler. Chase Mullen says, lads, looking good. The both of yous must be that Champions League glow. Cop. Arsenal in the mud. Big up, boys. Time to make more delusional predictions for next season. The league is ours. Chase, I think the reasonable prediction is to probably expect Spurs to grab a trophy of some kind. I think that's what we're all hoping for, is for Spurs to grab a trophy of some kind. But might as well grab a quadruple maybe on our way out, Chase. That's what we're talking about with unreasonable predictions, my man. But really do appreciate the support and appreciate you tuning in, Chase. It's been a while, my man, and do appreciate support that you always come in with, Chase. Absolute legend. Harris Army.
Yeah, look, Chase, it's definitely that Champions League glow. I mean, in fact, I've had a number of people saying it.
Champions League tan.
Yeah, I've had a number of people saying it to me, Jack. I'm walking down the street. They're like, David, you're looking good lately. You're glowing. Are you pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm just overweight. But what it is that, we're in Champions League football next season. I can't help but smile. It glows off me. I'm sitting there going to sleep, listening to Champions League music. I'm waking up, brushing my teeth, listening to Champions League music. It just feels good, and that's why I'm glowing. You know, and it's not, like I said, it's not because I'm pregnant. I'm just overweight, but it's because of the Champions League. And look, for me, Chase, look, what I will say, it's been a very, very exciting start to this transfer window. Tottenham are not used to operating this quickly in the window. Already 3 players in, 3 players of quality that add real quality and strength and depth to the positions. You look at the way we operated in January, another example of not making the same mistakes, quality over quantity. You look at the last 6 signings we've brought in here, all back-to-back: Romero, Kalajdžić, Bentancur, Perisic, Fraser, Forrester, and Basuma. Again, when have you seen 6 consecutive signings of that sort of quality all come in back-to-back? I'm getting excited. Add a few more final pieces to the puzzle, you know, like a centre-back, a left-sided centre-back. If you could get Raphinha and Richarlison in, I mean, I'd be super excited, and I'll definitely go in believing we can do something this season. We can be a surprise package in the league, surprise package in Europe, and 100% pick up one of the domestic trophies. Chase, The excitement is on, my man.
The excitement is on, Chase. I do really appreciate you tuning in. And honestly, I bet you have that Champions League glow too, Chase. You know, just everybody has it right now, Chase. Everybody has it. The whole Harris Army, my man. Do appreciate you tuning in, though, brother. Yeah. And also, Dave, Bobby K celebrating 5 months as well as a Flat Cap member, saying glowing. We're all becoming, we're all beaming. He says glowing. We're all beaming. Arsenal. Big up, Bobby K over at the 3 Spurs boys, celebrating 5 months as a Flat Cap member. Big up, Bobby K.
Big up. Yeah, look, Arsenal fans are probably sitting in here crying right now if they're watching. Probably sitting there with a tear in their eye. You know, just enjoy that Europa League music.
Moving on to the final bits of news. Really do appreciate the support, Chase. Honestly,
big up, man. Chasey boy.
Brian Hill, Dave, we're going to be talking about Hill Messi, and it's via Fabrizio Romano last night. Olympique Marseille have explored potential loan deal for Brian Hill. He's in the list, but it's still not close as it depends on the conditions of the deal with Spurs. Dave, with Brian Hill, I feel like it makes sense, you know, with Marseille. I know it's not the ideal destination. I know it's not even probably the ideal league for anybody, but it is a team with Sampaoli, the Argentinian manager. He's been doing really well with young players over there, and they did just have a really good season last season. If he were to be given, I don't know, Dave, like 80%, 90% of those kind of domestic league games, as well as other or other competitions, it'd be really good competition for Hill Messi. He'd actually be playing at a pretty high level in some cases. I think he'll be playing Europa League football even over at Marseille, even maybe higher. Might even be Champions League football that he could be playing, Dave. So with Hill Messi, I don't know, Dave. I know people see it as a bad loan destination, but I like to be positive and think that, with Sampaoli, with, with the potential football that Marseille could be playing in, which is much higher levels of competition than maybe Hill Messi is used to. I'd like to think it's an okay destination. It's not the worst. It's not as bad as people make it out to be, is maybe what I'm trying to say. It's not as bad as people make it out to be.
No, look, I'll be honest with you, Jack. I have no respect for the league whatsoever. Look, I know you feel different. I know you've explained that.
I don't like Liga in particular, Dave. I just feel like Marseille just might be that slight exception.
Yeah. Look, that slight exception. For me, I just want to keep him well away from the French league altogether. I've bad. Look, bar Hugo Lloris, especially over recent years, I've bad experiences with the French league, Jack. Kudu and G, Ndombele. For me, I don't want him anywhere near it. Look, I would much rather if there was suitors, loan him to a Premier League club, because ultimately this is the league he will be playing in. So if we can look for something around England, that would be ideal. But again, he probably doesn't even want to stay. He probably wants that exotic climate, the nice weather. Maybe France, maybe could do him ideal. Maybe send him back to Spain. I would prefer even Germany or Italy, Jack. I just don't want him in that French league. I just don't rate it. I think the quality, I don't think is that good. A lot of the French players that you sign directly from the French league very rarely come to the Premier League to make it. And for me, that kind of shows, that there is a massive quality and difference. And I'm not sure how much it actually aids Gil's development. That's just my opinion. I know. But you raise some very good points, though, Jack. You do raise some very good points.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember where Marseille finished, because if Marseille, Dave, if they are given maybe Champions League football, you'd like to think then that, perhaps, with it. Yeah, Dave, they're going to be, in Champions League, next season, so if Hill Messi is playing Champions League football and then playing, like I said, 80%, 90% of Marseille's game and is seen as kind of a starter, I don't know, Dave. I'd like to think that Champions League level, football is probably better than, championship or even lower level Premier League. That's just me. That's just me. I just think it's a better destination than people would like to think. Also a really good manager that just helped, even Saliba, the Gooner, actually become one of the better center backs in Europe, last season, at least statistically in the underlying numbers. But I don't know. I'm being really over positive.
No, I see that. I see that.
Trying to put a positive, trying to put a
No, you
spin
make
on
a
it.
good point. You make a good point. Champions League football will do in the world of good. Look, I just hate the French league. That's where it comes from for me. That's
I agree.
I just hate it.
A lot of games wasted, maybe you could say. Maybe a lot of games wasted. But I'd like to think that if he gets all the Champions League games, that might be better than, the championship games he'd be given. Chase Mullins saying, think about it. We gave all the top teams all they wanted, beat City and never lost to Liverpool with a very weak squad. The upgrades we're getting plus Conte. Why can't we? Depp will help us, I believe. I mean, Dave, he's putting out the ingredients, I think, for that title-winning charge that he's talking about here. He's saying, Dave, when you do kind of put it down into terms, all the upgrades we're getting, Antonio Conte, who's a league specialist, let's be honest as well. He's not as much of a European specialist. He's more of a league, specialist. The fact that we already have we have Man City's number. We have Liverpool's number, Dave, as well. I don't know. Chase is making a good case here. He's making a good case.
I've said this plenty of times. Look, even in order to win a domestic cup nowadays, it's inevitable. You're going to come up against a Liverpool or a City. We have their numbers. There's no reason why we can't make a run at the league. Look, even be in there in around 28 games with 10 games to go. Put your name in the hat. You look at the signings we've brought in, and Chase makes a great point. Look how weak our squad was last year. How very few options we had, even Conte had, to make actual substantial changes from games, in games that would have actually benefited Tottenham. The likes of a Brighton, the likes of a Brentford, Southampton, Wolves, these sort of games last season where we should never really be dropping points, especially at home. Imagine what Conte can do now using Perisic in them games, who's technically brilliant, left foot, right foot. We're about to put in a bid for Raphinha. If you can get him in, he'll help you in them games. Basuma will get you on the ball in the middle, take a couple of players out the game, which we do not have that ability in the midfield with Højbjerg, Bentancur, or Skip. He gives us that different option. There's every single reason why we can go on and do something next season. We break that Chelsea hoodoo, and we have them, that Chelsea hoodoo, which we have them away, second game of the season. We win that. The confidence that will go rife through our squad. The belief will be in the fan base. The belief will be in Conte. And what it will do going forward, it will do absolute wonders. And I'm aware that a lot of teams offer bonuses for a good start to the season. I think Tottenham should definitely do that as well to get us off to a good start. And from there, absolutely anything is possible. What I will say is there are issues that we need to address. I don't feel comfortable going into the season with the defensive options we have. We upgrade that, get another upgrade out on the right-hand side at right wing-back. Bring in another striker here, potentially Raphinha's replacement for Bergwijn. I mean, it's all gold, my man. Look, I'm super excited. Even now with the signs we have, don't get me wrong, I don't want the window to close, but we're in a better position now than what we were last season. So, and all we can do is get better. And Conte's here to win things. He's not here to dick about, mess about. So this squad will be primed, and they will be thinking going into this season they can win the league.
You are, Chase. And Dave just laid out the ingredients. You laid out the ingredients. Let's push for that title there, Chase. Just like you said, my man. Really do appreciate support as well, Chase. And honestly, I love the belief. I love the positivity. It's exactly what we need over here, my man. And do also really appreciate the really generous donations as well, Chase. Last bit of news, Dave, and it does have to do with actually some previously injured players returning to actually the Tottenham Hotspur training ground. An injury update on 3 players returning to preseason early, as reported by Football London. Oliver Skip, Jaffa Tanganga, and Matt Doherty will return to preseason early on Monday back at Hotspur Way after all 3 players missed the final months of the season due to injuries. Skip is now fully fit and has already returned to preseason training away from the club, going through a set program of work ahead. to return to Hotspur Way on Monday. And then Tanganga is also reportedly fully fit and ready for the preseason. And then Doherty's medical collateral ligament injuries can take up to 12 weeks to recover from. And Doherty's latest progress would be checked upon when he does return to the training complex on Monday. Dave, any thoughts on maybe these players that did have some pretty nasty injuries, returning to the Tottenham Hotspur training ground?
Yeah, look, great to have Skip back ready, get a full preseason under his belt. Hopefully, Japhet Tanganga, hopefully he does not break down during preseason. Since he's come into the fold, he's had a long history of injuries, and they're long-term injuries as well, so hopefully he can stay fit. Look, this whole extra work that's going on, Seth Younger's video put out today talking about Skip doing the extra work, Troy Parrott and stuff. I was listening to the Ben Foster podcast the other day, and interestingly, he was saying a lot of clubs actually give you a bit of a preseason workout plan so that when you come back for preseason, you're already kind of at the fat level you need to be and stuff. So they do give them maybe a program to start working and doing a bit extra a week or two before they come. Now, he did say some players don't bother. They just wait for preseason. But he says the ones that come back in shape are the ones that follow that plan. So it is not unusual in football nowadays to see players doing a small bit before they head back for preseason. Doherty is an interesting one. Be interesting to see how much longer he's going to be out for, because it's not that long since the season ended. So it'd be nice to maybe get an all clear on him Monday. So again, he can get a full preseason and maybe hopefully pick up where he left off at the end of last season before his injury. But look, I think we'll leave it there, Jacko. Actually, no, we won't. Vignesh N, big up, my man. Really appreciate the super chat. He says, so excited for the new season. Come on, you Spurs. And same here, my man. I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing. Look, I love this club. I've said before, I'm a bit of a loser in this regard, that I don't really have any other hobbies. I don't like doing anything else. My whole day is spent on Tottenham Hotspur, looking at news, looking at videos, old games, doing content. It's all I enjoy doing is stuff to do with Tottenham Hotspur. I absolutely adore this club. And I'd rather go into this season because, look, the last couple of seasons kind of gone in with a bit of trepidation, almost expecting to fail. This season, I do not have that. This season, I expect us to, have a really good season, go deep in the cups, make a kind of challenge at the league with about maybe 10 games to go. I'm super excited. There's a lot of excitement to be had. New, fresh faces in the door. More to come. A lot of players that have pissed us off over the past, that haven't performed. A lot of them should be gone. Like, there's no heading into the season wondering what Ndombele is going to be like, what Lascelles is going to be like, what you're going to get from Dele Alli. All that is gone. All the mistakes we've made over the last 2-3 seasons is wiped out. And this season gives me an absolute sense, of excitement heading into it, because it's just a clean bill of fresh air, in my opinion. It's fresh optimism. I'm happy.
I mean, Vignesh, all I can say is, you're going to have to contain that excitement because more signings are going to be happening, my man. So perhaps, just lock yourself in a room, maybe, because if these signings are just getting you more and more excited, I don't know how you're going to hold it in, my man, because seriously, there are more signings happening. There are bigger deals happening. It's not just Donier. There are big deals still happening. Paratici is still cooking, Vignesh. So maybe take a vacation or something, turn off the phone for 2 weeks, because honestly, the anticipation and the excitement is only going to get even crazier for you, my man. Big up, Vignesh. Do appreciate it.
Big up, Vignesh, my man. I really do appreciate the support. But look, I think we will end it there. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys out there, for the continued support on this channel, the excitement that you have every time we go live, the compliments that you give us. You keep us going. Everyone that smashes the like button, the subscribe button, helps support this channel financially. Honestly, you guys really do keep us going. If I woke up every day and nobody was watching, liking, helping support the channel, I would be fairly depressed, and I'm not sure how much longer I could keep going, because there's nothing worse than creating content that nobody wants to watch. So you guys, the absolute animalistic support you give us, how much you are behind us, it does not go unnoticed or unvalued, and we are trying to create ways going into the new season of getting more and more people involved with trying to give fans more and more voices. If you do like what we've offered today, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Also, love tap that bell button. It's your friend. It will notify you every time we go live with the evening headlines, which we're planning on keeping all the rest of this transfer window and into the season with club news, etc., etc., etc. So if that's your thing, smash that button. And yeah, that's it from me, Jack. Anything you want to say?
Everybody, if you want to talk about outgoings, I am doing a stream over on flatcapeurotalk. The link has been put in the chat. So everybody, if you are looking for a stream tomorrow on flatcapeurotalk, I am going to be joined by Darius and Kieran, especially Darius from Paxton Road, Kieran from Let's Talk Spurs. We're going to be talking about outgoings, finding destinations for all the players that we want out of this club, as well as maybe thinking about how much we can actually get for each of those players. So I think it'd be a nice conversation, pretty easy as well, just talking about outgoings. I bet everybody's interested in that. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. It's going to be around 5:45 UK time.
Yeah. And guys, everyone get over and smash the subscribe on Flat Cap Your Talk. Also, feel free to become a channel member for the 2 fan shows, one Monday, one Friday, if you want to come on and have your say. Again, it's another little great way to support the channel. Nice and cheap as well. But guys, what's coming up? You can obviously expect another evening headlines tomorrow, plus a debate show, which we will be doing another Spurs chat, aka / Kaniki answer me. We will be doing one of them as well. So there'll be a lot more shows tomorrow for you guys to get engaged in. And guys, if you want to engage with us in the comments, go back, look at our previous videos. We are in there. We are mixing with you guys. We are responding, giving our thoughts. Hopefully a bit of back and forth. So feel free to get your comments in below. Again, it's just another nice way to kind of help promote our content with all the comments and the likes. And we will be in there to interact with you. But also, guys, email, social medias, it's all in the link below the video. Feel free to use them and get in contact. We are very open people. But until tomorrow, come on, you Spurs.
Dermot with the super sticker. Dermot the super sticker quickly. It just says good job. And Dave, it's actually a guy in a robe, saying good job. So it's just Dermot as he's saying that, probably on his way to sleep. Maybe just enjoying a bit of FIFA before he's headed off to bed. Big up.
Trying going off to do now. There's a new Emerson card coming out on FIFA, by the way. It's a special card as well. Can't wait to get it. But yeah, big up, Dermot, my man. Really appreciate the support. Big yourself up, brother. And look, guys, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Stay safe. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
In Conte we trust. Come on, you Spurs.